Hi, I'm Fiona Flightly, a postdoc transsexual, and I've been sent to the planet of Primal because I am a hunter with over 50 confirmed kills, and I'm here looking for the sexiest dinosaurs around. Here comes one now. What a beauty! I better load my gun. Ugh. 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 Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to a review of one of the worst and frankly most personally disappointing games I have ever had the guilty pleasure of experiencing. Allow me to elaborate. Now, as this is the first game review on the channel, I'm going to take a moment to clarify a few things. First is, the reason I'm reviewing this objectionable travesty before anything that might be more deserving of my attention is because I can use this to practice the format, to learn from any mistakes I might make, or almost certainly make, and so that any future reviews I make on Borderlands 3, Monster Hunter World, and World of Tanks will be better for my experience. So here's the format. For every game that I review, we'll be looking at 6 main sections. The first being graphics, music, sound design and voice acting being section 2, section 3, gameplay, controls, animation, AI and bugs, section 4, story, lore and world building. I'm thinking about the Hunter Prime. 5th section, behind the scenes and developer activities. What have they been up to? What happened to make the game come to where it is? And the final thing will be a rating. And I'll be giving 2 ratings, one based on my experience with the game and one based on my objective view of the game as its own finished product and entity. So why talk about graphics first? Well, quite simply because it's easy. It's semi-logical as well. Graphics are quite possibly the least important factor in the vast majority of games. Second to story, controls, music, sound design. Generally speaking, the cohesiveness of a game that prioritizes those factors will not be mortally compromised by removing a few pixels. Right? Some of the best games I've ever played, the most popular games in the world, have about as much graphical fidelity as a piece of modern art. Which actually is a fitting comparison, because art is not so much about the visual piece as it is about the representation that it denotes. I'm getting way too obsessed with this metaphor. In spite of it being the most meaningless element of a game, it's nonetheless the easiest to judge and critique. And oddly enough, this is where the Hunter Primal shows the most promise. The world of Primal Eden, as it's called, while not expansive by modern open world standards today, the 24 kilometers squared map feels extensive and honestly highly immersive. The towering hills and undulations break up any linear monotony, and the 5 different biomes, you got coastal, marshes, plains, forest and volcanic, they aid the world in not feeling repetitive. Now, sweeping landscapes and distance, as well as a beautiful skybox, do this game a lot of favours, and although some textures do not hold up under focused scrutiny, it's aesthetically pleasing. And further to this, the natural inhabitants, the Cretaceous antagonists, keep the same theme of unexpected quality. The dinosaur models, they look like dinosaurs, and there's I suppose it's disappointing in a way, but there's variation in colour schemes, right, between members of the same species, different eye colours and skin patterns, and there's layer dinosaurs as well of each species that appear with a very noticeably different skin tone and rewards for the killer Steam medal, I think. However, one thing that really annoyed me, there's no size difference between dinosaurs, no adults and juveniles, which would have helped bring character to the world of Primal. And I do want to say this is from my observation. I have not observed any size difference at all. The one exception to that being the Primal Rex, which is noticeably bigger than the other Rexes and has a sexy skin to match. Now, there are certainly issues here. There are numerous graphical bugs that we'll cover later, and the water effects are lackluster at best, and if you expend the inordinate effort to climb the volcano at the middle of the map, you can actually see where the developers forgot to remove the guide grid that they used to design the map. Wah, wah. To sum up, aesthetically, the game's anywhere from okay to great. Right? There are some thumbnail-worthy landscapes, and it's certainly the best aspect of the game. It's so comparatively good compared to the rest of the game, in fact, that I have many a time during this review, during the scripting of it, I've had to stop myself from going on imagined tangents about how many other better games could be made using that sandbox. The graphics sadden me, because after you get over them, it's just all downhill from there. Oh, and also, if you have a bad computer, like Tom did, graphics, not exactly a highlight. Oh, don't worry, it's fine.
God, you don't even have trees. You have fucking polygons.
Yeah. Tom's game is just.
Yep.
I mean, when you get attacked,
Tom, sometimes you got to show me the specs on your computer. I want to see the specs on your computer. Now.
When you get attacked by a dinosaur, it must look like Pac-Man's retarded cousin is trying to eat you. From covering one of the least important factors in a game to what I sincerely believe is of paramount importance: sound, music, and voice acting. There are games that do these brilliantly. Alien Isolation, for example, has really fantastic sound design. And that's a game that I personally did not like. Voice acting, The Last of Us, music, Mario. These things can serve to make a game almost iconic. They are so important. It can get to a point where you remember the theme, the characters, the ambience more than anything else. More than bugs and poor graphics, the fact that there could have been better gameplay decisions. It trumps all of it, because these things, when done well, they help. But when done brilliantly, they are truly special. However, this section is going to feel particularly anemic because I can't talk about voice acting, as there is not a single line of dialogue spoken in the entire game, unless you count this. Which, honestly, to me, sounds less like, oh god, screams of pain, and honestly, more like, it costs us £200 an hour to be in this studio, quick, bring in the mediocre voice actors. And it's just, what do you mean they didn't turn up? They took one look at our website and didn't show up for some reason? How mysterious. That's a real bummer, that. Wait, is Debbie from accounting here? Oh, she is? Oh, good, I hate that bitch. Bring her up, get me a whip, and we'll go from there. Sound good? As far as the music goes, there's not much to talk on. The game does have a theme that sounds original and fairly fitting, kind of subtly invoking feelings of stalking potential, but it's nothing really to write home about. For the sound design, you've got a mixed bag. You can easily identify the different dinosaurs and what species they are based on their calls alone, and the game does a good job of directional sound. Right? I mean, you can identify where a dinosaur is by listening carefully, which is nice and sorely appreciated. However, on occasion, the dinosaur sounds just feel a little disjointed from the dinosaurs themselves. If I can find an example, I'll show it now. As I said, for this game, this section should be about ambience, because it's genuinely quite good. Those moments where your lack of ammo or weapon variety really acquaints you with your mortality, and you're left crouching in the undergrowth, listening to the horror stories whispered and told by the lively forest, hoping the wind doesn't turn the wrong way. Oh, it's gorgeous. And of course, one thing that I did splendidly, one thing that I love, is this. That is gorgeous. That is goddamn beautiful. I love it. I don't know whether it's the nostalgia, but I love the idea that you hear that from over the hill and it sends you into oh shit mode. Oh shit activate. Now, here is where this review is going to start going downhill fast. The gameplay of the Hunter Primal is a disjointed mess. The progression is completely unrewarding. I am intrigued by this game in so many ways. You start at level 1, right? Logical. Thrust into Primal Eden with a map fragment and a machete that can cut a cucumber, let alone a dinosaur. And then you wander around for a little bit, searching for loot boxes, trying to find a gun, find some ability to defend yourself, and then some cretaceous jackass turns you up and makes a meal out of you. Reminds you of your place in the food chain 65 million years ago, right? That's not all bad, because now you're dead, you get to visit the shop, which you can't do in any other manner than by dying. But hey, you're here now, you can buy things for your drop pod. So that you can access them when you spawn. However, you can't because you're level 1. You have no money and you haven't unlocked anything yet. So, time to spawn 500 meters back, run through the forest and do the exact same bloody thing again. I mean, even if you do pick up something out of the box, then you die and you have to go all the way back to the exact same place and hope you can pick up your stuff again. It's this asinine cycle of failure to success. Fail your way to success every time, and it becomes increasingly frustrating. And it might not be so bad if the game generally had any quality of life value whatsoever. The menu system is generic and half-assed. The take-all button crashes the game half the time, and there's no quantity slider in the shop. So you have to drag each item individually every single time you die. And you will die a lot. Not least of which because of the stamina bar. Oh my god, the stamina bar. You can run from a dinosaur that is going to kill you for 10 seconds. And your weapon that you spawn with, the machete, uses stamina when you want to use it. So if you run from a dinosaur, even side to side, and then you decide you're gonna fight, you're fecked. You're too tired, you just sit there and moan vaguely while you get eaten alive. I don't know, this annoyed me so much that for the purposes of this review, I installed a cheat engine and unlocked infinite stamina. The game's HUD is as generic as you can get. You got health, stamina, ammo, state, and the number of locks, which are very rare and useless items that you can get and then you can throw and they distract the dinosaurs. Apparently. I've never found cool to use it. Maybe it's just, you know, I think in order to want to use them you actually have to have the will to live, which is something that you find being sapped from you ever so slowly as you play the game. The hunting element of the game is guided by your settler mate, which is the phone-like device you can see here, which displays the map and offers guidance to nearby boxes and settlements and stuff, and it can be used to find, log, and track dinosaur information. And this is a surprisingly functional system, as in you can legitimately use this to track and find a dinosaur, so points for that, I guess. There are glimpses throughout this game of a passion underneath. Some complex ideas like this load screen that talks about wind direction affecting scent camo, dinosaurs bleeding over time, internal organs denoting best places to hit. However, far too few of these ideas actually come into play because of the poor balancing of the early game. Nothing matters. It's worth noting as well, clothing items can be picked up, like this noble hunting shirt, and they provide better camouflaging against the dinosaurs, but not in any way that I found noticeable while I was playing. That may be just a personal experience, but it is there. And so, this is a deep confession. I cheated. I did. I edited my save file. I got myself max level. I put myself to level 50, and I gave myself a load of money. So yeah, sue me.
Honest Gaming does not actually want you to sue him. Sincerely, Honest Gaming Fictional Legal Department.
The great objective of this game, beyond perpetually surviving until you lose patience, it seems to be centered around the Primal T-Rex, like this apex predator that you can summon in and attempt to kill for some special unlocks. However, in order to summon it, you need to obtain a scent gland, which is found by killing a rare gold T-Rex that is not actually gold. However, I couldn't find one of the bloody things to save my life, so I just edited the save file and gave myself one. Again, sue me.
Honest Gaming does not actually want you to sue.
Upon obtaining it, you place it down and Primal spawns in, heading straight for you. He is relentless. Bigger, cooler, he has a ridiculous hit pool, and unfortunately is subject to the same crap AI as everything else in this game. To say that the dinosaurs are derpy is a little bit of an understatement. Here's an example of a fight with a T-Rex. So this epic boss fight with the T-Rex dissolves into hiding behind a corner and spamming ammo into a heartily confused Rex when you masturbate to panda porn with the other hand. And when you eventually kill it, you're rewarded with a Steam achievement and some new weapons, which once obtained can be bought from the store after you die. These being for the first kill, the crossbow, the second time you kill it, the 5.56 assault rifle, the best weapon in the game by most people's consensus, and the third time you kill it, the spawn beacon. Yeah. In order to adjust your spawn point, you have to kill the hardest boss in the game 3 times. This, for me, is one of my personal biggest gripes with this game. When I played this with my friends, the first 2 hours of the session were spent trying to find each other. Like, between the stamina bollocks, poisonous plant bollocks, and dinosaur bollocks, it's a pain in the ass. And it's especially tragic because the community, the tiny community that the game still has, they're really nice people. I have never been screwed over while playing for this review by a random other player. They're always going about giving you items and guns and helping you, most likely because they know how utterly infuriating it is to get anywhere in this game. People in this online game do more to make the game tolerable than the developers. Let's talk about the animations. Right? As I previously said, distance does the game a lot of favours, and the same is true for the animations. When up close, the dinosaurs can barely handle rocks and uneven terrain without looking ridiculous. They seem to have 1 or 2 attack animations at the most, and they all make the same noise every single time. Right? And if you're below or behind one, I'll just kind of jerkily turn on the spot until, to their credit, running about 30 meters away, whereupon you can just follow them and they'll do the exact same thing again. Word of advice though, do not try this with a T-Rex because they can and will stomp on you. Who knew? Well, the game has a fairly generic control system, WASD? Yeah, no, WASD, nailed it. Right button to aim, left button fires, control to crouch, shift to stand, caps to run, and Q makes you auto-run, which is nice. There is no jump function whatsoever, which would have been nice, and these controls are the same while swimming because you can't. And let's note as well, all of these buttons feel entirely clunky, and because the AI is so derpy, the dinosaurs will often just run straight past you, at which point you have to choose whether to wrestle your view violently around or go through the awkward animation of putting your gun down, turning, raising your gun, and it feels awkward to me. Maybe that's personal. So, again, I don't know if I've said this before, 5 dinosaur species in the entire world. That sucks! And I may be wrong, but the velociraptors that were added, the game started out with 3 dinosaurs, 2 were added, the flappy Quinta dickhead and the velociraptor were added. The velociraptors, call me crazy, but they look exactly like the Utah raptors, just scaled down. So they're a lot smaller. Maybe I'm paranoid. So the 5 species, you got Triceratops, T-Rex, Velociraptors, Utah raptors, and Quintiniflers, or whatever. Now, there are some programmed interactions between species, kind of intricacies. The Triceratops, hey guys, it's Quinto baby, and the Tyrannosaurs tend to live and roam in fields and swamps, as well as the volcanic biome, whereas the raptor species hunt in dense forests for the most part. Still, the prodigiously limited selection does not aid at all in the idea of the feel of the game, right? The idea of this world being a functional ecosystem, and yet I don't want them to add more because the game pisses me off as it is. And bugs! Oh boy, the bugs! Bugginess. This, oh. Someone hit the music!
The game has a tendency to crash whenever you hit the take all button in any interactable container. On occasion, dinosaurs decide to go invisible and pop in and out of existence on a map. Fragments can be used infinitely from the drop pod by dragging them directly onto the phone. Occasionally, when you end down scopes, the sun makes a 24-hour cycle in 1 second when it gets bored. This raptor has to go. Its planet needs half the time the game doesn't save items from session to session. If you're unlucky, the game will forget you ever played and reset you to level 1. Occasionally, other players cannot kill the host of the game or each other, but the host can kill everyone If you die while reading the lore, you become immortal. This fucking team, if you stand near shit too long, it starts killing. Occasionally, stereo sound is minuted, so that left is right and right is left. This game should be aborted like a fetus that stopped developing, because it certainly has.
But on the plus side, here are some clips of the bugs being hilarious.
I think he is nice and Okay, so that means we've done all our shit to do. Okay, fine.
Tom is having sex with his gun! Tom, I know, oh my god!
What's up?
He's using his gun as a very sexual pogo stick.
Name which is no part of thee. I call myself.
I take thee at thy word, but I am not Romeo. I am the groundskeeper. Get off my fucking property. What the bloody hell?
Now it kills me. Oh,
Groundskeeper OP.
I'm dead, kid.
Denied.
What?
Denied.
There's a setting on the fucking server.
OP.
I'll let you tease me fucking with.
I swear to God, I have not done anything. One of my hairs is really annoying me. I don't know what to say about this section. I've got a teleprompter that tells me exactly what to say, and I still don't know what to say. That wasn't actually in the teleprompter. That was an improvised joke. I'm a genius. I will just cut to some examples of the world-building backstory left over on the PDAs at some of the 25 settlements or ruined settlements that are on Primal Eden.
Easy
The
steroid
Alpha
tablet.
Night and Day, log entry 99. You see, they have a nerve clusters just a few inches into the nostrils, so I should be able to use my thumb to take down a Tyrannosaur. But for obvious safety reasons, I will use a sharp stick instead. We roll in, open the gate. That was all.
Denied.
Oh,
The delay. The delay of death.
It was like he didn't realise he was dead for a couple of seconds.
It did not. I mean, his body was stood up there for like.
The basic premise is that you're some kind of criminal and you've been sent to the planet to exterminate the wildlife so that they can plant the seeds of civilization for you people. Now, there is a nice bit about how you being eaten will be seen as treason and your family will be sent to Eden as well because of the evil, expansive galaxies cooperation. But aside from that, aside from the strange planets in the sky and the ruined structures, this game indulges no curiosities you might have about its history or anything, and it never developed, thanks mainly to the developers abandoning it. It never developed a community that established any lore or any real interest, I suppose, in the game, and that is a shame. Okay, this is a doozy. Let's talk about how this clusterfunk of a game came to be. The game is developed and published by Avalanche Studios and its subsidiary Expansive Worlds, the former being responsible for the Just Cause games, and the latter the original Hunter game in addition to Call of the Wild. And now it makes sense. Now it makes sense why this game has such a good-looking world. These are experienced developers with a good deal of money behind them. And it's an unusual thing. The Hunter Primal has been removed from the search engine at the request of the publisher on Steam, so they obviously don't want to sell it anymore, 4 years after its release. Which is understandable. Really, if I was in any position of authority over there, I would not want anyone to become aware of this pile of stank, but it does provoke questions. Have a look at this gameplay trailer that was put out just before release. about you, but that is at least marginally different from the finished product. In addition, upon release, and in the run-up to release, it was advertised as a standalone expansion to the Hunter, which I'm calling bullshit on, because standalone expansion is not a thing. It is a different game. You pay for a different game, they're not bundled. The Steam page makes no mention whatsoever of the other game. It's a different game. What worries me is the intent behind this. The aesthetics, right, of both the trailer and the world are decent to good. And appearances, when deprived of context, when in screenshots and when bolstered by fabled encouraged connections to previously well-received and well-liked games, they sell games. So I end up asking myself, what was this? Right? Was it an honest endeavour by some hard-working developers that simply stunted and abandoned before intricacies could be added due to unforeseen circumstances? Or did it have a more sinister motif? Right? Was it designed purely to exploit with its graphical fidelity those of a more naive persuasion, or those who hope for something more akin to the old Hunter games, looking for nostalgia, or simply a good game independent of all that? Either way, I personally view this as a black mark on the record of Avalanche Studios and Expansive Worlds, not only because of the game's poor design, but due to their inability or unwillingness to follow through on a project. Now, ratings, conclusions. I mentioned that I'll be doing 2 different ratings, one for my personal experience with the game, whatever fashion that took, and one as an objective entity, a rating of the game independent of my experience of it. When I played this game, I played it with Peabody, Tom, and TARDIS, and you can see the whole playthrough. I'll link to it in the description. But honestly, I had a fantastic time, for the most part, laughing at the varied ineptitudes of the game. Its terrible derpiness was almost endearing at times, and the very fact that it was terrible provided us with some hours of entertainment. Though I will stress, that is only the case because we modded our save files to get credits, levels, access to spawn beacons. Without us doing that, I get the feeling it would have been utterly intolerable. So, all things considered, my personal experience rating for this game is a surprising 5 out of 10. Yes, that's only because of my friends. Yes, it's because I cheated, but I had fun. It was a sandbox in which to sit back and laugh at the incompetence, watch the failure of game design unfold before us. And I enjoyed it. Objectively, this game fails in myriad ways. Right? It's buggy, it's unstable, it's unsatisfying, it's abandoned, the AI sucks, progression is mind-numbing, has almost no story or established lore, mediocre voice acting, and a developer that has only earned brownie points from me when they removed this pile of old yank from Steam. My objective rating for the Hunter Primal is 2.5 out of 10. Now, that is my rating of the game as a product, not as an experience. And to sum up, I think this game really could have been something had they pursued it, had it not been dropped for whatever reason. The map is gorgeous at times, and given regular updates and a thriving community, maybe some quests and objectives rather than aimlessly wandering around, I could see myself chaining my friends to their desks and forcing them to play this again, just for a laugh. Unfortunately, game's been removed. It's finito. It is dead, officially. That is the last I will ever see of it, I believe. And that's a shame. Ladies and gentlemen, I've said all I wanted to say. I've concluded my thoughts, such as they are, on this game. And my, I've sunk far too many hours into this game over the past week, certainly. Oh! But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. It's been a pleasure having you. If you did make it this far, thank you so much. Please do consider leaving a like and leave your opinion on the video below. I'd really like to know what you thought and what should I review next. I've got a couple of things in mind. Thank you very much for watching, and farewell!